Forgot to start recording.
Dogo, I have a question.
Yes.
Is it every research that does a questionnaire? And who comes up with the questionnaire? Is it the school that gives the questionnaire or
So the
person who
questionnaire,
is doing?
yes, very good question. So a questionnaire, mainly at undergraduate level, I would advise that you use a questionnaire which is already available. You're not going to do a study which has never been done before. It's just the context which will be different. So whether you'll be looking at back pain, whether you'll be looking at experiences of caregivers, it will be based on existing data collection materials, whether it's an interview guide for qualitative studies or it's a questionnaire for quantitative studies. If you're going to do a survey, I advise that you use a questionnaire that already exists. Where are you going to find that questionnaire? Through literature. You're going to read papers that address the question that you have or your topic, and you see what questionnaire they used. So for a lot of studies, they are already established questionnaires which have been validated. So you can use that. You can be able to find the questionnaires online. And if you have a challenge to find one, you can always, your lecturer can always help you with that, or your research methodology lecturer can be able to assist you. So yes, the university won't give you, we expect you to be able to find the questionnaire through literature, the literature review that you're going to conduct. And there's quite a lot of materials online, a lot of questionnaires that you'll find. Okay, why write literature review? Also rationalizing the significance of the problem. You look at how significant, how important that problem is, the topic that you're looking at. Also enhancing and acquiring the subject vocabulary. You'll find that in certain areas, the certain language that you're using. For example, if it's in disability, there are words you can use, there's words you can't use. For example, you can't say that somebody is disabled. Okay, in disability language, that is not acceptable. We expect you to say a person with a disability. Okay, and us as physiotherapists, we work with persons with disabilities. We are the first ones who should be able to adopt vocabulary, which is kind of, can say, politically correct. Understanding the structure of the subject, looking at how the subject is and everything else that is related to it. Relating ideas and theory to applications. So here's an idea. How does it speak to my practice? Also, identifying methodologies and techniques that have been used. So you will know how they have collected the data. You will know the design they've used, how they have analyzed the data, what kind of questionnaire they have used. So through literature, you'll be able to find that. Placing the research in a historical context to show familiarity with the state of the art development. So there's always new things that are coming up. So you look at way back, how was it? And how are things being done? So also to place each work in the context of its contribution to the understanding of the subject under review. So you're looking at different works that have been done by different individuals, and you see how they contribute. Describe the relationship of each work to the others under consideration. So here's a person's work and another piece of work. So you look at the relationships. So also identify new ways to interpret and shed light on any gaps in the previous research. So there's usually a lot of gaps in literature, things that have been done. There could be there could be a shortfall. So there could be areas, gray areas. So you need to look at those gray areas, identify those gray areas, and you can do that through a literature review. You do a literature review also to resolve conflicts amongst seemingly contradictory previous studies. what has been written before may have conflicts. They could have found different results. Maybe one study found that going for holidays does people that go for holidays and those who do not, stress levels are the same. Maybe another study shows that stress levels are higher for those who don't go for vacation, those who don't get leave. So you get into the research area and look at all those contradictions among previous studies and try to understand why others are finding other findings. They're having contradictory findings. To identify areas of prior scholarship to prevent duplication. You don't want to find yourself in a situation whereby you've done a study on physios at UTH, their knowledge concerning COVID-19, long COVID. Meanwhile, somebody else last year did the same thing at the same hospital. So we do search for literature so that we don't end up duplicating things. Also, to point the way forward for further research, you do literature review, and that will guide you on what other research needs to be done. And that other research could be the study that you will do. So it places one's original work, in the case of theses or dissertations, in the context of existing literature. Okay, this is existing literature. How does my work, how does it fit in? Okay, so what should I do before writing the literature review? You need to clarify. If your assignment is not very specific, seek clarification from your supervisor or your research lecturer. So you need to clarify. Okay. Roughly how many sources should you include? So for your literature review, at least a minimum of 10 sources must be used, minimum of 10 sources. And those will include books, journals, journal articles, websites, reports, etc. Should you summarize, synthesize, or critique your sources by discussing a common theme or issue? Yes, so you must be specific. Don't be everywhere. Okay, so you must clarify whether you should evaluate your sources. Yes. Don't just get anything. There's so much junk online. There are a lot of predatory journals, so they will publish anything. So always look for good sources, okay? And we'll have at some time a practical session where I can guide you on where you can find credible sources. Okay, don't go to Google. Google has got a lot of junk. So best would be databases. You can go to PubMed, for example. You can also use Google Scholar. Should you provide subheadings and other background information such as definitions? Yes, that needs to be done. You need to have subheadings, headings, and subheadings in your literature review. Okay, also find models. Look for other literature reviews in your area of interest or in the discipline and read them to get a sense of the types of themes you might want to look. Also, when you come to the library, our library, when you come for your block, you can always get to the librarian. She will show you the section where there are theses or dissertations by previous students. Okay. So you can find literature review in many spaces online, and Google Scholar, when you get to Google Scholar and open some of those articles, you'll find that they have a portion where there's literature review portion. You need to narrow your topic. There are hundreds or even thousands of articles and books on most areas of study. The narrower your topic, the easier it will be to limit the number of sources you need to read in order to get a good survey of the matter. So as you're doing your literature search, be specific. If you're looking at back pain in academics, so use back pain and academics, you search for both. If you just search for back pain, there'll be too much junk that will come. So you need to consider whether your sources are current. Look at the last 10 years. You may not find everything in the past 5 years. The most you can ever do is up to 10 years, but we advise for the first 5 years. Why we do so is because when you start doing your literature review, it will be now. By the time you're writing your report, it will be end of next year. It will be sometime after next year. By the time you're publishing, it could be 2024, 2025. So by then, if you have 10-year-old items, 3-4 years from now, they'll be 14 years old. You need to do the literature review again. So best is that you look at the most current. And it's possible for you to be able to find even 2022 publications. Okay, so however, if you're writing a review in the humanities, history, or social sciences, a survey of history of the literature may be what is needed. So you may find that you are looking at some of the articles that are from way back. There are certain definitions which were done maybe in the 80s or 90s. For example, the definition of health, according to WHO, it's not a 2022, 2021 reference. So you need to find a focus. A literature review, like a term paper, is usually organized around ideas, not the sources themselves. As an annotated biography would be organized. This means that you will need not just simply list your sources and go into detail about each one of them, one at a time. No, this one says that, and you say next this one. There must be you must be able to synthesize. So things that you need to do before writing the literature: as you read widely but selectively in your topic area, consider instead what themes or issues connect your sources together. What are the things that are coming together? Okay, lecturers, they have to sit for a long time, they have to stand for a long time, and that could affect their musculoskeletal system. Then you need to talk about mechanisms concerning the body. So you bring out all those themes and issues, and then you connect them together. Okay, so if you're talking about interventions, do they present one or different solutions? Is there an aspect of the field that is missing? Is there anything that is missing? Those are the gaps that we want to identify. How well do they present the material, and do they portray it according to an appropriate theory? Okay. Is there a particular trend that you're seeing within that field? Is there any debate that is coming out strongly? Okay. So pick one of these things to focus on the organization of your review. So there will be an introduction, there will be a body, and also conclusion and recommendations. Okay, so introduction will give you a quick idea of the topic of the literature review. For example, the central theme, organizational pattern. Then the body now contains everything about your topic. It contains a discussion of sources and is organized either chronologically, thematically, or methodologically. Okay. So, for example, when you're looking at prevalence, if we're looking at prevalence of HIV, there must be, you must give that in a chronological manner. So you can start by figures globally. You can then come to regionally. You can look at the region, African region. You can come to sub-Saharan Africa. You come to Zambia. Okay. So there must be that flow. You can't give globally, this is a situation. In Lusaka, this is a situation. Sub-Saharan, this is a situation. There must be a pattern. Okay. So your introduction should provide the reader with the scale and structure of your review. It should serve as a kind of a map. And then you come to the body, and your literature review for your proposal will be at least about 4 to 5 pages, and it will have all this. So the body of your review depends on how you have organized your key points. Literature reviews at postgraduate level should be evaluated and not merely descriptive. So at undergraduate level, also it needs to be evaluative and descriptive. So you need to bring in that aspect, especially that we want to publish your research. By the time you're completing your studies, we must publish your work. Okay, then conclusion of the review needs to sum up the main findings of your research into the literature. The findings can be related to the aims of the study you're proposing to do. Okay, the reader is thus provided with a coherent background to the current study. You're not just going to be writing and throwing things everywhere. Somebody must be able to enjoy and follow what you're writing. So what should you write in terms of what should come in your literature review? So the accepted facts in the area, the popular opinion, the main variables, the relationship between concepts and variables, shortcomings in the existing findings, limitations in the methods used in the existing findings, the relevance of your research, and also suggestions for further research in the area. So when you consider all that, it must be enough for you to be able to put together those 4 to 5 pages. Then the layout, of course, we need to be 1.5 spacing. Font size must be 12. You need to make your literature review to have an academic and professional appearance. So it must look good. It must look academic. So you need to leave space between sections. You're discussing a particular area. When you go to another one, just leave a space so that somebody can be able to see that this is a new paragraph, this is a new section. We'll use headings, also subheadings. So when you look, for example, prevalence of back pain, then it could be global as a subheading, regional, and then Zambia. Also, text boxes, you can use these for quotations or paraphrasing to separate them from the rest of your text. So once you do that, it looks very good, and also distinguishes that you can or highlight certain aspects that are critical. So here's a final checklist. These are the questions that you need to ask yourself for you to see whether you've done a good research review of literature, whether you've done a good one. Okay, such questions as have I fulfilled the purpose of this literature review? Is it written at a level appropriate to its audience? The audience will be ourselves, academics, and also professionals within our discipline. Are its facts correct? Is all the information included relevant? Are the layout and presentation easy on the eye? It should be between 10 to 12 pages for the whole proposal. Is the language clear, concise, and academic? So the language that we use when we're talking is not the language that you use when you're communicating to academics. Okay, so make sure that you're using academic language. So all these questions you need to ask in relation to what you've done as a review. So the whole process of reviewing includes searching for literature, sorting and prioritizing the retrieved literature, analytical reading of papers, evaluative reading of papers, comparison across studies, organizing the content, and then writing the review. Okay, for the next 10 minutes, comparison across studies, the aim is to extract key points by comparing and contrasting across studies. So this is what this is what Band and others found concerning this, and that. This is similar to what was identified by Jacobs and others, that kind of writing. So also research aims or hypotheses. We will discuss what a hypothesis is and the different types of hypotheses at a later stage. Research design and sampling, we'll have a session to just look at research designs that exist in qualitative and quantitative studies. We'll look at sampling also at another stage, the different types of sampling techniques, purposive sampling and non-purposive sampling. What do we find under purposive sampling? What do we find under non-purposive sampling? All those things are coming and they're part of the first test. Instruments and procedures. Instruments, these are questionnaires and any other material that you use for measurements in your study. Procedures, methodology. Methodology is a blueprint or concerning what you're going to do. When you have to build a house, you do a blueprint, which is a plan. Okay, you do a plan of the house, the rooms, the sizes, and all that. So the blueprint is what the research methodology is, research methodology or design. How did they analyze the data? What kind of test did they use? Parametric versus non-parametric. That's the statistics part of this course. Also results, findings, and then interpretation. So find similarities and differences between studies at different levels, and all those are the different levels that you can address. So how do you review? You can use a feature map which clarifies and categorizes your thought in a tabular form, so you can put a table and start writing what you think is important. You can use a concept map. It links between concepts and processes or shows relationships between ideas and practice. You can have the main issue in the middle. You put these other issues that are pertaining to that issue that in the center, different areas, okay, which all link, or different aspects that all link to the main theme. Also, tree construction, it shows how topic branches out into sub-themes and related questions or represent stages in the development of a topic. I will post in that file which says materials, research materials, examples of these, the feature map, the concept map, and the tree construction. I'll put them so that you can have a look and see how the different aspects can relate to your topic and how you can use that in writing your paper or writing a literature review. Okay, so some tips on writing. Sentences must always be short. Don't make them too long. A sentence, when it goes beyond 20 words, by the time you're going halfway, you've forgotten what that sentence is about. So keep keep them short and simple. Paragraphs, group sentences that express and develop one aspect of your topic. So you must have paragraphs. It shouldn't just be 4 pages continuous. There must be paragraphs. You could have maybe 8, 9, or 10 paragraphs in your literature review. Consistent grammar, use sentences and paragraphs with appropriate use of commas, colors, and semicolors. Incorrect use of punctuation can affect the meaning. So just leaving out a comma may change the meaning of the sentence. Transitional words, use words that link paragraphs and which show contrast and development to your argument. For example, hence, therefore, okay, but, thus. So it's building from what you've written just before. As a result, in contrast, so Banda says ABC, but in contrast, then you're building on to something else. So this is about all concerning literature reviews. Any questions? We have, I think, about 3 minutes. Any questions?
Sir, did you manage to upload the previous test in Moodle?
The previous what?
The previous presentation class we had, the one you recorded.
Oh yeah, so yes, I did. So I didn't, I sent the slides, but the audio I was not able to to upload the audio because the audio is too big. Hello? So maybe
Okay, sir, thanks.
maybe I can email it to the class rep, and then the class rep can email it to everybody else or post it on WhatsApp. But the size is too big for Moodle.
Oh, better that way then.
Yes, but I've put in that box, in that file, a lot of materials, and I'll still post some more materials.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Sir, sorry, I don't know if it's just me who's confused. So there's writing of literature review, then there's proposals, and then there's the research itself?
Yes. So a literature review is a portion of both your proposal and also your report. Then you're going to, the first thing that you're going to do is to write a research proposal. And in that research proposal, the second section is a literature review. Your research proposal has got 3 sections. There's the introduction, there's a literature review, and then there's a research methodology. So those are the 3 parts that you find in the proposal. In your report, after you've collected your data, you've analyzed it, you've written a discussion. So it will be your introduction section, the literature review, the methodology, the results section, and your discussion, conclusion, recommendation. That is the fifth section, fifth chapter. So it's correct what you've said. So this is what we're going to engage in together in the next 2 years, this year and next year. 4.1, 4.2. I'm hoping by 5.1, somewhere there, you're done, so that in the 5.2 we publish in a peer-reviewed journal. As you are graduating, I should be able to mention that you are graduating with a distinction, and also your research work has been published in a peer-reviewed journal, international journal. That's what I want to say when you're graduating.
Sir, so we'll be doing these things while learning other things also?
Yes, so for the research methodology will end this semester. After that, it's you to submit your proposal to ethics, collect data. So you will be doing that while you're doing other things. So the earlier you start, the better. I see there are 2 questions there. Okay, it's some faces. Somebody's crying. Any other question? So meaning next year, next semester, we will be having some sessions. You will be on clinical attachment, but we will have to arrange some sessions where I can just give you where you can just consult. We're having problems with this. How do we do a problem statement? How do we do a significance of the study? So all those things I'll be available. I'll be available between now until you submit your report. It needs to be marked when you're in 5.2, because then in 5.2 there's that research part component, which is like which is a course. It's appearing there.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That sounds like, oh, it's too much to do. You will enjoy research. You will enjoy research, and it's what makes you different from a diploma holder. It's one of the major things that makes that differentiation. Critical thinking, being able to generate evidence.